So we have The Devil All the Time, which is a new film that was released on Netflix last Wednesday, and since then it's been a film that has received quite a lot of attention, especially because of its cast. It's got quite a large ensemble cast, and even in the build-up to this movie there was quite a lot of anticipation surrounding the film, mainly because of the cast and one particular member in particular. This film really did a good job of capturing the attention of people, especially because right now there's not really that many movies coming out in theatres, so it really relies on, Netflix and Amazon Prime and all these other streaming services to kind of pick up the slack in regards to films, and this is probably the film that has got the biggest amount of attention I've seen since Extraction. I was looking forward to this movie. I thought it looked really good. I really liked the trailer. Again, the cast was very good, very intriguing. While the director was one I wasn't familiar with or have never seen anything from before, I still felt like this film was going to be an interesting one to see, and given the fact that it was on Netflix, it was going to be available for everybody, I thought I had to go check it out. And now I've actually seen the film, I think it's a very, very good watch, and one that I definitely enjoyed. Now, the main thing I want to talk about in this review is the performances within the film, as I do feel like this is a very performance-heavy movie. I feel like that's what you go into this film for, and I think coming out of it, that is what sticks with me the most. I'll start off by talking about sort of the main star of this movie, which is Tom Holland, and Tom Holland is really good in this. I was very shocked by his performance because, of course, going into this film, he was kind of the big selling point. It was kind of, watch Tom Holland do this very different, very dark performance that you haven't seen before, because we all know Tom Holland. We all know him as this light and, kind-hearted guy. Of course, he plays Spider-Man, which is a very light-hearted role. So we got to see him do something very different in The Devil All the Time as this very dark character that was very different to anything he's done before, and that was very interesting for me. Now, in terms of his performance, I think he's good in the movie. I do enjoy what he does. I like what he brings to the film. I definitely think he has a presence about him. I found it a little bit difficult to not see Tom Holland in the role, if that makes sense. I found it difficult to still sort of detach Tom Holland from the character, but I still think it was a really good job and a really good acting performance from him. Another standout in this movie for me was Bill Skarsgard, Bill Skarsgård is one I've not really seen that much of. I've obviously seen him in the It movies. He's fantastic as Pennywise. That's a fantastic performance, but I've never really seen him do much outside of that, and seeing him in this movie was really kind of gratifying because he does a really excellent job in this film. He plays Tom Holland's father, and he's really good in this film. A really great performance. He's not in the movie that much, but he is very much in there in the beginning, and he really nails home a really hard-hitting performance for me. And of course, Robert Pattinson is also in this movie, just continuing to knock up a storm every movie he's in, and he's great in this film as well. He plays this very eccentric preacher character, and he does a great job here as well. A very crazy accent, a very awesome over-the-top performance, and again, you expect nothing less from Robert Pattinson at this point. He's very good at doing these kind of wild, wacky characters, and he does it once again here in The Devil All the Time. I think he fits really well into this world, and I really enjoyed his character in the film as well. And aside from the performances, I think the other thing that this film really has going for it is a really interesting setting and very interesting characters. As I said, I was very engaged in Tom Holland's character and Robert Pattinson's character, and I just felt like this world, this setting, this little town of Knockemstiff, Ohio, and these characters that were surrounded and made up this world was very interesting and very engaging because it was just very dark and mysterious and grimy. There wasn't very much left to the imagination in regards to, the good in the town. There was kind of, everyone had secrets, everyone had these dark tales about them, everyone was not quite who they seemed, and that made it a very interesting world because every character you came across, you knew you couldn't quite trust them. Even a character like Sebastian, who you would think you would be able to trust, you couldn't quite really, and there was kind of that throughout every character in the film, which I really enjoyed, and it just made it a very interesting watch and kept you on the edge of your toes. This film also surprised me in its storytelling. It has a multiple storyline structure, which I didn't expect going into it. I thought this film was going to be very much focused on Tom Holland's character, and while he is the focus of one particular storyline, there's also kind of two other storylines going on throughout the film, and I found that very interesting and very different because I didn't think that's where this movie was going to go, and given where the movie eventually ends up, I think that was a very, very good way to actually tell the story, and I think that multiple storyline element does make it stand out. And as I said, I do like where this movie ends up. I do feel like the multiple storyline thing, the way it all converges in the end, I thought was very well done, and also very satisfying. My only major negative for this film is that there's one particular storyline. As I said, there are multiple storylines throughout the film, but the one particular storyline that's revolved around Jason Clarke and Riley Keough's character, I didn't particularly enjoy that one. I felt like that particular storyline was just very much weaker in comparison to the other two going on, and I was far less engaged and far less interested in those two characters and their stories in comparison to what was going on with the other characters and the other stories in the film. I just felt like their particular story was very lackluster and just not as interesting. I got what they were going for it, and I liked it in concept, but in execution, I felt like that storyline was just lacking in comparison to the others. And given the fact that that storyline does take up a fair chunk of the movie, it does knock it down quite a bit, because even though I do like where it ends up ultimately, and again I like how it all comes together in the end, just the majority of it when you're watching the film, I found it to be a very detached and very uninteresting storyline. So overall, I thought The Devil All the Time was a really great watch. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great film, and one that I could definitely see myself going back to at some point in the future. I think this film has a lot riding on it. Again, the story of it, the world and the setting, the characters are so interesting, and the performances is what I really think people are going to get out of this movie. Again, particularly Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Robert Pattinson. I'd even throw in Sebastian standing there. I think they all have really strong, compelling performances that we haven't quite seen from them, particularly Tom Holland, who delivers a really strong and really dark performance, which was really nice to see. I can't wait to see what he does in the Russo brothers' Cherry film as well, which apparently is Oscar worthy, and so we'll see how that performs. But I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a very interesting watch, one that I definitely want to go back to, and I definitely recommend you checking out on Netflix right now. So with that said, I'm going to give The Devil All the Time a 4 out of 5. I think this film was excellent. I very much enjoyed it. And again, even though I don't think it's perfect, and I didn't really enjoy that one particular storyline that does drag it down a couple of points for me, for the most part, I still really enjoyed the film, and I very much enjoyed my time with it. So have you guys seen The Devil All the Time yet? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy the film, or did you not really like it? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me, and I hope to see you guys again next time.